The 2017 MLB Draft is going to go down as one of the worst, if not the worst MLB Draft of the 2010s and beyond. There were lots of major misses, but also some pretty big superstars in the draft as well. So which team got the rare hits and which teams missed more than the others? Well, let's regrade the draft 8 years later now that we have the benefit of hindsight. This is just fun to look back at draft classes like this, and I like grading it now that we are almost a decade past the 2017 MLB Draft. I bet that made you feel extremely old. I turned the camera on because I have something serious to talk about. Look at this number. I know you see it, 97% of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel. I'm trying to get to 20,000 subscribers before the playoffs, and I know we can do it because I have over 200,000 people that watch my content monthly, and only 2% of them are subscribed. You should really at least consider subscribing because it's really easy and it helps me out a lot, and it helps you because you'll get recommended my videos more often. And you don't even have to leave the page, just click right down here in the bottom right hand corner. There's a little subscribe button right there. All you have to do is press that and you're subscribed. The first pick in the 2017 draft was Royce Lewis of the Minnesota Twins. Royce Lewis probably has the most raw talent out of any hitter in this draft class, and we've seen him dominate the big leagues for stretches where he looks like one of the most talented hitters in the game. However, I'm sure everyone knows about the continuous struggles for Lewis to stay on the field. He has a laundry list of injuries that have made him miss time. He's had 2 knee injuries, 4 hamstring injuries, and 4 other injuries in the 4 years since he's made his debut in 2022. He's played just 232 games, but he has 42 doubles, 42 home runs, and 140 RBIs. He's extremely productive when he's on the field, and if he finds a way to stay healthy, this pick can easily end up an A+. But for now, I'm only going to give him an A- because he just hasn't played enough, and you can't produce if you don't play. Pick number 1 was really good, and there's no difference with pick number 2 where the Cincinnati Reds selected Hunter Greene, who is currently one of the most disgusting pitchers in the league. In 2024, he was selected to his first career All-Star game and came 8th in NL Cy Young voting. He posted a 2.75 ERA, had 169 strikeouts in 150 innings, was worth 2.6 WAR, and just dominated. In 2025, he had almost the exact same stats before getting an injury, and he's back now and he continues to dominate. Greene is developing into one of the most unhittable aces in Major League Baseball, and this is easily an A+ selection for the Cincinnati Reds. MacKenzie Gore was one of the highest touted pitching prospects in recent memory, especially because he was drafted out of high school at pick number 3 to the San Diego Padres. Gore, in his senior year of high school, had a 0.19 ERA, but that doesn't matter for this grade. I just wanted to mention how insane he was. Gore was traded as one of the centerpieces along with CJ Abrams and James Wood to the Washington Nationals for Juan Soto, after he had a respectable first season as a Padre. In his second season, he was okay with the Nationals, posting a 4.5 ERA, but having some pretty impressive strikeout numbers. But in 2024, he put it all together and he broke out, tossing 166 innings, striking out 181 batters to the tune of a 3.9 ERA with an even better FIP, meaning that he was getting unlucky. In 2025, he had started well and looked like a true ace for the Nationals, posting a 3.11 ERA and striking out 131 batters in just his first 104 innings. However, his next 8 starts in the second half have been so terrible that his ERA has gone up by an entire run. He is turning into a consistent pitcher for the most part, and just for that reason, this draft pick is going to get a B+, even if the team that drafted him isn't getting his services. Brendan McKay is one of the very few misses for the Tampa Bay Rays in franchise history. McKay was selected as a two-way star, and in the early stages of his career, he was graded as one of the best prospects in the league. and was a 60 out of 80 grade pitcher, again while also being a good hitting prospect as well. In 2019, he made his MLB debut as a pitcher after having a 1.1 ERA in 73 minor league innings, but he really struggled in the show, posting a 5.1 ERA, although the FIP was a full run lower, so he was getting a little unlucky. He also hit a home run in just his 11 at-bats at the plate. The strikeout stuff was solid, and there was a chance he could turn into a solid player. However, in 2020, he needed shoulder surgery. The following season, he came back and needed another surgery, which would end his season in 2021. Then, in 2022, he needed Tommy John surgery, which sidelined him until 2024. In the 2024 season, he got injured again with a UCL strain. Then he was granted free agency by the Tampa Bay Rays, and it looks like he hasn't been picked up by another team to this point. Unfortunately, this pick needs to be a D-, as he did not contribute much in MLB whatsoever. This is one of the true sad stories in MLB history. The fourth pitcher in a row was taken at pick 5 by the Atlanta Braves, who selected Kyle Wright, who is an extremely difficult player to rank. And I'm gonna tell you why. He hasn't pitched since 2023, but he made his debut in 2018. Listen to the amount of games played by season: 4, 7, 8, 2, 39-0. So he had that one season where he started 30 games. But then he didn't even reach double digits in any of his other 5 seasons. He struggled really badly every single one of those seasons, except the one where he threw 30 games, because that season he was one of the best pitchers in baseball out of nowhere. He won 21 games for the Braves and posted a 3.19 ERA, coming 10th in Cy Young voting, but in his other seasons he never even reached 40 innings pitched. How am I supposed to grade this draft pick? He was also good in the postseason, but he got rocked against the Dodgers in one of his starts, allowing 7 runs and only getting 2 outs. But in his other 3 starts, he went 17 innings and only gave up 1 run total. He is ridiculously inconsistent. He was also traded to the Royals, so his Braves career is officially over at this point. I think that because Wright was so incredible for one season and completely useless in his other seasons, a B- is a somewhat fair ranking. Let me know in the comments section if you agree or disagree with me on this draft pick though. Austin Beck was selected number 6th overall, and he has not made his MLB debut, and he hasn't been a top 30 prospect in his system since 2021. So unfortunately, this draft pick has gone very poorly for the Athletics. In 2024, Beck found his way into the Dodgers farm system, so he's probably gonna break out now because everything always goes right for the Dodgers. However, even this year he struggled. He's hitting around 210 in AA, however, he has hit some home runs, so that's decent power production, but apart from that, he just hasn't been good. He's played just 8 games in AAA and hit below 150, while also struggling overall with a 302 on base and a below 700 OPS in over 450 games. Unfortunately, there's no way of justifying Austin Beck being anything other than an F draft pick, the first but certainly not last of the Fs in this draft class. 2025 is Pavin Smith, 6th year playing Major League Baseball, but he really hasn't broken out yet, although so far in 2025, Pavin Smith is off to his best start yet. He has a 776 OPS with 8 homers and a 356 on-base percentage. Actually, last season in 60 games, he was probably a little bit better, as he had an 869 OPS with 9 homers. I don't really know why he's not playing more. He seems like he's pretty good. He also walks a ton and doesn't strike out too much. I just don't know what to make of the player. Career-wise, he has 45 home runs and a 247 batting average, while also posting a 330 on base. He has a slightly above average career OPS plus. This is just another one that I don't really know if I'm being too harsh with the player on, but with the 7th overall pick, I feel like you would want a little more production through 6 seasons of Major League Baseball. He could still definitely break out a little bit more and add more production, but for now, I think this pick is a C+ for the Diamondbacks. Another player that has played parts of 5 different Major League Baseball seasons is Adam Hasley. However, he's played bad baseball the entire time and he's been out of baseball since 2023. It also looks like he isn't even on a roster currently, not even a minor league team, so it seems like these MLB stats are going to be where his career ends. Hasley has a career 79 OPS plus, 675 OPS, just 5 homers, 5 stolen bases, and a .259 batting average. His best season was his 2019 rookie season, where he played 67 games and posted a 1.8 WAR. So his career started nicely, but after that he's been worth negative value in the 4 years combined following 2019. Basically, he was a bad MLB player, but his defense made him good enough in his career to be an above average WAR player. So I can't really give him anything in the D's, but I can't go higher than a C-. Keston Hiura is ridiculously similar to the last player selected in this draft, as he had a great rookie season in 2019 and then was never even serviceable again. In 2019, Keston looked like he might be an emerging superstar, batting .303 with a .368 on-base percentage and a .938 OPS. He hit 19 homers in 84 games as well. He also had a 1.8 WAR because his defense was all-time bad, leading the league with 16 errors in just half a season. However, since that rookie season, Keston lost all ability to hit major league pitching, batting just .302 with a .670 OPS. A truly remarkable fall from grace for the second baseman. Because of that, I don't think it's fair to give the Brewers anything other than a C+ pick. His 2019 season was better than Hasley from the pick before, but he was also a worse player in the following seasons. However, I think he made more of an impact on his team than Hasley did, so I'm going with a C+. Joe Adell is kind of the exact opposite of the last 2 players that we've talked about, a super high regarded prospect who really struggled in his rookie season as well as the 4 years following. But it looks like he might have finally put it all together in his age 26 2025 season. In his rookie year, Adell batted .161 with a .212 on-base percentage and just 3 homers in 55 strikeouts in 124 at-bats. He was horrendous, maybe the worst player in the league. He bounced between the majors and the minors until 2024, where he showed some life in MLB, at least with the power, hitting 20 homers in 130 games. But in 2025, he's finally broken out for the team that originally drafted him. Adell is hitting .234, which isn't great, and he has just a .298 on-base percentage and a .778 OPS because of hitting 29 homers in just 85 games so far this season. He's on pace to drive in almost 100 runs while cutting the strikeout rate down to slightly below league average, which is great considering just a few years ago he was striking out more than anyone. This breakout is because of his ridiculously hard contact coming off of his bat, mainly because of his bat speed, which is 99th percentile, allowing him to hit the ball harder because he swings with more force. Adell is finally here, but because it took so long, I can't go higher than a B for the Angels, but if he keeps it up, he could easily get into the A's with this skill set and potential. There's a chance that Jake Burger, the 11th overall pick from the Chicago White Sox, has been the most productive hitter from this draft. Burger has 83 career homers between the White Sox, Marlins, and Rangers, although his .247 batting average and below .300 on-base percentage have not been impressive. This season, he has been the worst version of himself to this point in his career, with just a .252 batting average in 12 home runs in 84 games. In 2023, where he played for both the White Sox and Marlins, he was phenomenal, with a 2.5 WAR, 34 homers, and an .830 OPS. Another tough ranking, but I think a B is fair for Jake Burger here. He's going to hit over 100 career homers and has been around a 4-win player. He's good, but not the best player ever. I'm giving him a B. Shane Baz was drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates but never made his debut in a Pirates uniform, as he was traded to the Tampa Bay Rays along with All-Star Tyler Glasnow and All-Star Austin Meadows for Chris Archer, who struggled badly with the Pirates. The Pirates almost deserve an F for this draft pick because of how bad the trade was, but the player has been a somewhat productive MLB starting pitcher throughout his 4-year career. He missed the 2023 season due to injury, but in his 2 seasons following, he's been okay. In 2024, he had the best year of his career so far, posting a 3.06 ERA in 79 innings in 14 starts, which is very solid. This season has been not solid, however, as he has posted a 5.19 ERA. 144 innings though, so he is giving some volume. However, the volume is not good since he has a negative WAR on the season. Now, another part of this is the fact that his home ballpark is not a Major League Baseball stadium and the ball flies there unlike anywhere else, and his road ERA is way better than his home ERA, so this is definitely part of it. However, he has a career ERA of 4.37 in around 50 starts, and has just been a pretty productive pitcher all things considered. But considering a full season is about 33 starts, he's only thrown around 20 games more than that. And he hasn't pitched enough to get a better grade than a B, so that's what the Pirates will get for his Rays production. Good job, Pirates. This draft class might have the most inconsistent and confusing players in the history of Major League Baseball. I just don't know why all of these players have been good and bad all over again. It's incredibly strange. Either way, Trevor Rogers was selected by the Miami Marlins, and you guessed it, he has been inconsistent. In Rogers' rookie season, he came second in Rookie of the Year voting, with a 2.65 ERA in 25 starts. He struck out a ton and really limited home runs, meaning that his FIP was amazing. But then in the 3 years following, he almost doubled his ERA with a 5.09 in 52 starts. The strikeout rate really dipped down as well, going from 10.6 per 9 down to 8.0 in this stretch. The home run rate also tripled, and that was just a bad recipe for the left-hander. He was shipped to Baltimore in an extremely lopsided trade that sent Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers to Miami for Rogers. Then he was horrible in Baltimore, where he had a 7.11 ERA in just 4 games before being optioned down to AAA. So this good year was just a one-off, right? Nope, he came back in 2025 and absolutely dominated Major League Baseball. In 13 starts, he's posted a 1.40 ERA, and the home run rate has gone all the way back down to his rookie season percentages. So he's had 40 good starts and about 50 bad starts. But overall, the numbers are pretty solid. I'm going to give him an A-, even if I don't feel great about that. Nick Pratto was drafted 14th overall by the Kansas City Royals, and unfortunately for both the Royals and Pratto, he has been very bad in MLB. He has just a career .216 batting average and hasn't played in the big leagues since 2023 when he batted .238 with 7 homers in 97 games. He's struggled in the 2 years since in the minor leagues and has kind of lost that elite power that he was drafted for. He's been worth -1.6 WAR, and for a mid-first round pick, Nick Pratto has not been what the Royals had envisioned whatsoever. And because of that, I will be giving this pick a D. I'm sorry if I pronounce this name incorrectly because I've never really heard of this guy before doing this draft recap. The 15th overall pick came from the Houston Astros, who selected J.B. Bowskus, I hope. And now that I've said the last name once, I will not be saying it again. JB was one of the pieces traded for Zack Greinke, so he was definitely a highly regarded prospect. However, since then he's pitched in just 30 innings as a big leaguer with 0 starts under his belt. He has a career 5.04 ERA, but he was pretty solid in 2024 in his small sample size, allowing just 1 run in 6 innings pitched. But he will be missing the entire 2025 season with a lat surgery. However, he's done basically nothing in MLB to this point in his career, so I'm going to give him a D+. But he is with the Brewers now, so maybe their pitching lab can save him. He is still 27 years old, so he definitely has time. I'm rooting for him. It's been a long time since we've had a very good MLB player, and this one is another pitcher, and it's a Yankees starter in Clarke Schmidt. Clarke, unfortunately, very recently just underwent Tommy John surgery and will be missing the entirety of the 2026 season and the rest of 2025 as well. But even still, this pick for the Yankees has paid dividends for the club. 2023 was the first year that Schmidt was a starter, so the numbers weren't great, but in the 2 years following, Schmidt was one of the better starters in baseball. He had 30 starts and posted a 3.07 ERA in 164 innings. His ceiling is very high once he comes back from injury in 2027. However, that will put him at 31 years old, so he's not going to have the most starts in a career ever or anything like that, but I still think it's fair to call this pick an A for the Yankees because it's worked out very well. Evan White is maybe the only player so far with a true award under his belt on this list, but that doesn't mean he was a good pick for the Seattle Mariners. I don't even understand how he won his Gold Glove. Actually, never mind, I was looking at his 54 games in 2020 and wondering how that was enough to qualify for the award, but it's because that was the 60-game shortened season, so it makes sense. I'm kind of just stalling because Evan White was really bad. He only had 84 career games and he had a negative 0.7 WAR, 165 batting average, just 10 home runs and 115 strikeouts in those 84 games. He got even worse offensively in 2021, and just like that, he was out of Major League Baseball because he couldn't hit baseballs. Even if the defense was elite, he just wasn't good enough to stick in Major League Baseball, and because of that, I'm giving Evan White a D. Alex Faedo was a bad starting pitcher and a solid reliever for the Tigers, so where does that put him in the rankings? I'd say just an okay player, right? I think in the first round with your draft pick, you probably want something a little better than a decent relief pitcher and a failed starter. I'm not going to get into the stats, I just don't have anything interesting to say. He's getting a C- ranking, and I'm moving on to pick number 19. Elliot Ramos, stop me if you've heard this before, has had an inconsistent career. In his first 2 seasons, he played just 34 games combined and struggled mightily in that short time in the big leagues. He batted 158 with just 1 home run and a 220 on base percentage, but since coming back in 2024, Ramos became an all-star, crushing 22 homers in 121 games and 21 doubles to go along with it. He was just below an 800 OPS, and this year in 2025, he's basically doing the same thing all over again. He's become a really solid baseball player, and because there has been basically no offensive talent whatsoever in this draft, I'm going to give the Giants even more benefit here because no one else hit on offense before Ramos. Therefore, A- pick for the Giants. There will be much change in the 2020s, a huge change with the Mets draft pick David Peterson. This guy has been incredibly inconsistent to begin his MLB career. I'm sorry, I don't want to keep saying it, but these guys are just making me. Some years he's been elite, and other years he looks like someone that might not be in MLB in the next season. Just listen to these ERAs by season. Starting in 2020, he had a 3.44 ERA. He followed that up with a 5.54 ERA, then a 3.83, 5.03, 2.90, and then finally a 3.18 so far in 2025. How am I supposed to describe that as anything other than inconsistent? Either way, Peterson has been really good overall in his MLB career, and the last 2 seasons he's looked like he's developing into a front of the rotation starter, which obviously makes this an extremely successful draft pick. Peterson was selected as an all-star in 2025, and although he doesn't really strike too many guys out, he does a really good job of keeping the baseball in the park, and his home run per 9 reflects that. Peterson is a really solid pitcher, and I think the inconsistency that we saw early in his career might be behind him at this point. I'm excited to see how much more David Peterson can improve, but for now, I have to give the Mets an extremely solid A for this draft pick. Orioles' draft choice was DL Hall. Adell, and he was traded as one of the headline pieces in a trade that sent Corbin Burnes to the Orioles and Hall was headed to the Brewers. If trade value was included in ranking, this grade would be higher. However, it's not. Hall has been good in 2025 after being not so good in 2024 as a starter. They kind of turned him into a reliever, but he kind of gives them length as well. It's kind of weird. He's another weird selection, but because he currently has a 3.3 ERA in 37 innings in 2025, there's a chance that we are seeing a breakout from the 26-year-old left-hander. Hall really hasn't given us a ton of sample size so far throughout his career, but he's a solid pitcher already, so I'm going to do what I think is most fair and give him a C grade. He might get way better than this though, I'm just not sure yet. The second player that has not made his MLB debut from this draft class was the 22nd overall pick from the Toronto Blue Jays, Logan Warmoth. The Blue Jays are just a really bad drafting club. In 2018, Logan was a top 5 prospect in the Blue Jays system after a very impressive start to his career after getting selected in 2017. However, he struggled in 2018, which knocked him entirely out of the top 30 prospect list for the Blue Jays, and he never returned back into the top 30 prospects. Warmoth is a career .236 hitter in the minor leagues, and he hasn't touched a professional baseball field in 2025. I think it's more than safe to say this was a failure draft pick. The Jays are receiving an F for Logan Warmoth. Call me a bad baseball fan, I don't care. I can proudly say that I have never heard of the man drafted 23rd overall, Jiren Kendall. God might be coming back because the Dodgers missed on a draft pick. I can safely say that this draft pick is a major miss because Kendall has been out of minor league baseball since 2022. He last played in AA at 26 years old. He hit just 162 in AA with an embarrassing amount of power and an insane amount of strikeouts. Unfortunately, this was not a good professional baseball player whatsoever, and the Dodgers are receiving a big-time F for this pick. There's nothing else I can do. Tanner Houck was selected in the first round, 24th overall by the Boston Red Sox, and he is one of the few All-Stars on this list. Houck first touched MLB in 2020, where he posted a .053 ERA in 3 starts, which is one of the best starts to a pitching career ever. But Houck's career has been anything but linear. He had an okay second season with a 3.5 ERA, but was partially demoted to the bullpen. In his limited playing time, he struggled facing batters a third time through the order. Then, in 2022, he was really good again with a 3.1 ERA, but this time he was almost exclusively a reliever, but his nasty stuff played up in that role. In 2023, he went back to being a full-time starter, and he was terrible with a 5 ERA. Then, in 2024, he became an all-star and had one of the best first halves in MLB that season, and he finished the season with a very good 3.12 ERA in 30 starts. However, in 2025, he was so awful, with an 8 ERA, and unfortunately, he had to undergo Tommy John surgery. This was another inconsistent player, who would have guessed, but either way, this was a great draft pick for the Red Sox, especially after all of the misses earlier in this draft. Because of this success in other seasons, I'm going to give this pick an A. The Nationals selected Seth Romero 25th overall, and good news, this guy made MLB. Now the bad news, he pitched in just 3 games, threw 2.2 innings, and gave up 4 earned runs. He's been out of professional baseball since 2022. He did try to make a comeback in indie ball last year, but he got destroyed in that league as well. Unfortunately, we've seen the last of Seth Romero in MLB, and he was a terrible pick, but because he touched MLB, I'm not going to give the Nationals an F, but they're getting a D-. Surprise, surprise, another miss from the 2017 MLB Draft. My god, this draft was so bad. This time from the Rangers at 26th overall with Bubba Thompson. He has just 1 career home run in 109 MLB games, and he really only gets time to come in and play baseball as a pinch runner or maybe a defensive replacement. He's been awful in his MLB career, to put it nicely, and he hasn't played in 2025, so it's just a bad pick. Rangers get a D here. The Cubs selected Brendan Little in 2017, who was eventually traded to the Blue Jays in 2023. Now, like I said, I don't throw trade value into these rankings, and thank goodness for that, otherwise the Cubs would get a very, very poor ranking here since he had a not so great 40 ERA on the Cubs. Yep, you heard that right. 40. Little as a Blue Jay, though, has been awesome. In 102 innings so far as a Jay, he has an overall 3.2 ERA, and he's been even better in 2025, posting a 2.88 ERA while leading the American League in appearances. He has crazy strikeout stuff, and although he's just a good middle reliever, he's a really good middle reliever. So I'm going to give the Brendan Little draft pick a B ranking, because again, there have been so many misses before him, this is somehow incredible value. Super weirdly, the next pick was the Toronto Blue Jays, and this was another pitcher that was traded to the Cubs in Nate Pearson. So Pearson went to the Cubs, and Little went to the Blue Jays from the Blue Jays and the Cubs. Anyway, Pearson was one of the biggest pitching prospects in recent memory because of his ridiculous arm talent. He could throw triple digits with ease, and this made people extremely high on the talent. However, like many of the big arms in MLB, Pearson was terrible at locating his dominant pitches, and that has been his downfall in MLB. He's already 29 years old and has a career ERA of 5.17, and he's posting a 9.20 ERA in 2025. He's been a major bust, and I'm giving Pearson just a D+ for this pick, and that's kind of painful. I don't really want to talk about pick 29 much. His name was Christopher Sees, and he's a really bad minor league baseball player and has completely failed as a prospect. He hasn't played professional baseball since 2023, and in 2023 he had a .211 batting average in AA. He's just bad. I don't care, this is an F pick. And finally, the last pick of the first round, Alex Lang. He's just a solid middle reliever with a career 3.7 ERA. I don't know what to say, he's had a few worse seasons, he's had a few better seasons, and in 2023 he was awesome and even was the closer for a little bit. But apart from that, it's a boring but effective pick. I'm gonna give this pick a B-, and that's the end of the video. Like and subscribe, I hope you enjoyed. My voice needs a rest. That was another 14-page script after I said I'm not doing that anymore. Oops, thanks for watching.